better, isn't it? Yeah.
We are live. Welcome to the Stars Weekly Inspiration with Marina and Ysanne. Perhaps you've seen us before, you met us before. If not, welcome to our world. We've been working with the stars for a while. I've been publishing Ysanne's columns in the Richmond magazine, and we've been sharing the stage many times at Make the News events organized by our community. Now Ysanne is one of the Richmond Society members, and she is carry on working with the stars as she did in the last 4 decades. She published a book 7 years ago when we met, and she's been using the book Genius Formula, and her book was published in 3 weeks. And I'm sure now she still remember the time we met, and I could see the book in her. And that book has been around the world. She's been taking Ysanne to places she's never been before. She's been on national television. She's been to the most amazing stages, and here it is. She is here with us today to guide us on how to turn challenges into opportunities, which is the subtitle of her book, actually. So, Ysanne, I'm so grateful you are here. It's been long overdue. We been to meet once a week on real life stages, and because of the pandemic, we had to go into that deep reflection and understand what is happening with the world. Understand that each one of us is able to find the inner teacher, to find that connection we perhaps lost with the stars, with the nature around us, and with ourselves, which is the most important connection. And you've been guiding thousands of people around the world into finding their inner teacher and understanding the guidance from the stars. What do you want to share with us today?
Oh, hello, Marina. Hello, everybody. I would like to hone in on the very powerful, a lot of you will have heard about this, read about it, maybe even seen it, the total lunar eclipse, which occurred in UK anyway, the early hours or toward dawn on Monday morning. And going west from us would have been the night before on the 15th, and so on. So I'd like to connect with that and with you all, because the word moon very much links with matter, monthly, mother. It's very much all about bonding and belonging. It's our nearest neighbour in space, when you think about that. And I'm known for not using too many technical words. I like to approach my subject, which as Marina said, I've been working with for over 4 decades. I like to approach it with everyday words, accessible to the everyday person. And of course, astrology, the language of the stars, the interpretation of their movements, their positions, is quite complex. In every moment in time, there's 2,500 variables at work. So an astrologer's job is quite a big one, demands, a lot of training and understanding to synthesize. But one thing we can all relate with is the moon cycles. We see the moon and then we don't see it when it becomes the dark moon phase and the new moon. And it's a comfort, really, I feel, because there is a rhythm, a pattern at work. In my book, I talk about our inner timekeepers. We've got these inner timekeepers, and I believe in a soul, but I think our bodies come from nature. And just as nature has its cycles and rhythms, and the cosmos does, cosmos is one certainty in a sense, then we also have these rhythms and patterns in our own body, things we share with others, but also are very personal to ourselves, dependent on that moment of birth and what was set into motion then like a clock. What we do with that information and rhythm is up to us. And I think it is important for us to understand the cycle of the moon. It was used hugely in history and for our ancestry, for an understanding. Big, lovely celebrations are often done at the full moon because there was light to see them by, and anything which needed to be under the radar was more at the dark moon time, those 3 days leading up to the new moon. Interesting thought. So we have a new moon, which we had about the 14th of April, and there was a partial eclipse then. And an eclipse, the word means to leave, which sounds a bit scary or threatening, but not really, because like with nature, we need to shed skins, we need to reassess at least ourselves and our situations in life. So what happened when the sun and moon come together at a solar eclipse, which was just over 2 weeks ago, is an opportunity to clear the past in some way, to move forward. And at the lunar eclipse a couple of days ago, we had the opportunity to transform and to definitely begin to release the old, which is a bit scary. It's familiar. And somebody once said to me about fate, and I said, our habits are the biggest area where we fate ourselves. We need habits, but we need to get new ones periodically. Otherwise, we get into like a hamster on a wheel, you know, we get on a treadmill and it gets faster and faster and we can't get off it. So these habits are very important to address. Now, at the eclipse time, and these occur in tandem, there's 2 in the spring, 2 in the autumn, roughly, those times of the year, or late winter, early winter. And they give us an opportunity, a window, to make some breakthroughs. Eclipses had quite bad press in the past. Shakespeare talks about it, the Bible, and there can be endings, people falling from grace. Maybe it's overdue for them too, toppling of people in power. But for our own personal lives, it is an opportunity to look at what we need and what we don't need. What do we need to leave? Whose needs are eclipsing your own? It's an interesting thought, isn't it? Think about the carers. Those of you who are listening who are carers, caretakers. Is somebody's needs eclipsing your own? So what was happening on Monday, and we're feeling it now in this lunar eclipse where the sun and moon are in opposition, they are once a month, but how they're lined up, without going into too many technical details, how they line up with the lunar nodes is very powerful. And we'll feel this influence for the next 6 months into the autumn. And what is their theme, their language? Well, this full moon and eclipse was in the sign of Scorpio. The sun was in Taurus, the opposite sign, which is the middle part of spring. It's all the blossom. It's the lovely flowers in the northern hemisphere anyway. And Scorpio is a kind of the breaking down. It's a water sign, the dissolution of the old. And knowing that under the surface of the earth, life still goes on, but we don't see it so observably on the surface. So what does it mean for us? Well, I think it's an opportunity time to transformation. And oddly enough, well, maybe not oddly enough, quite a few of my clients recently, indeed in my social world, that word transformation has emerged a lot. And it's a beautiful word. Things shapeshift into new forms like nature does. What are we scared of letting go of? How scared are we of death? I mean, during the pandemic, there was a huge fear surrounding death, and I do feel the Western world has to get a much better relationship with death. What we've had now this week, or having this week, is an opportunity to release attachments to crisis, to drama. Well, drama's fun up to a point and fine, but, you know, negative drama and negativities in general, to release that attachment. We get very addicted to things. It's not just alcohol, drugs. We can all be addicted to something. Have a think about that. Maybe it's even helping people too much. There's always an addiction. And there definitely can be an addiction to trauma, to drama. And when something is stuck in our cellular system, our bodies, from a memory, from a crisis, from a trauma, it's almost like we're moving forward in time afterwards, but part of us isn't. And that's where therapy, inner guidance comes into their own. Because we do need to be able to move and to flow. So what have you been finding in the last day or so that needs addressing, that needs releasing, needs transforming? What has come to a head? Full moons culminate things. It's excellent for doing a big event. If you're in a good mood, great for a party, bringing a project to completion. But it can also amplify negativity, emotions, and again, where we belong. This word belonging, I think we're looking at that more and more now. How do we belong with ourselves? Who do we want in our world? It's not necessarily we have to think the same way, have the same theories, beliefs, but there has to be a higher level involved where there's an acceptance of other people's ideas and therefore treading that soul path together. And a concept of isolate and divide, or people feeling that they are right and somebody else isn't, is come to the fore very much, I think, in recent times, and is very draining. It's very depressing in the real sense of the word. And I think it's a good time to be gentler on ourselves and others. And so I would like really to encourage us all in these coming days and weeks, particularly these next couple of weeks when the planet Mercury, our thinking patterns, is in what they call retrograde motion. That's for another time to talk about. But it's an opportunity until early June to use the prefix RE a lot, rethink, re-edit, revisit. Using the right hemisphere brain more, the intuition. This is a fabulous time for intuition, but it's invisible, isn't it? So learning to work with that, to trust it, to say it's okay to make a mistake. We can always apologize. I don't know how good we are at apologizing. Some overdo it and a lot underdo it. But we are human. We are spiritual beings in human form, having a human experience. And the only way we grow sometimes is making mistakes, being able to smile with ourselves, be gentler on ourselves. And again, I feel this eclipse period time, April, May, is vital for a new understanding of what needs to stay in our lives and our attitudes and our mindsets and what doesn't. So these are thoughts to leave you with and to leave myself with as well. I don't know how that relates with you, Marina, how you feel about that.
Well, actually, you've been mentioning so many important words that, words have power. And for me, it's what guides me. And you mentioned visible. And there is so much talent, so much genius around, and so many the geniuses I know are still the best kept secret.
Yes.
And you mentioned the word visible, and I think one of the ways we can change and reimagine the way we see ourselves is by publishing a book the way you did.
Oh, yes, there it is.
So it's many people's Bible. So I would love to read from your book what I wrote on the forward I wrote for your book. And this is interesting for me as well because this is 7 years ago. And just usually I don't open at the first page, right? So I open further inside the book. But today I just open at forward. And I remember I wrote the forward. So
Lovely.
my forward was a question actually. Are you an explorer, a heart? Greatest adventures known in human history start within the front and back cover of a book. So there is a whole new world within, like a new planet of big ideas and original versions of a refreshing, better reality. Those brave enough to go on this adventure and step in, even out of disbelief or just curiosity, could become part of a new generation of explorers. And even in our cyber times, I like to call them Columbus. If you are an explorer, a Columbus at heart, this book is for you. And I think, yeah, it's
Thank
time
you.
to share the title. So the time catcher, and we've been working a while on the subtitle because had to be capturing what actually the book does, and the subtitle is How to Time Your Actions and Turn Challenges into Opportunities. You see, I'm going to carry on with another a phrase, and after that we are going to draw our final remarks for today. But I was writing 7 years ago, what resonates with you vibrates within. And I found Ysanne's book to be not only profound in its unique beauty, but filled with messages that help you time your actions to turn challenges into opportunities. There are no coincidences. If you are reading this book, it means you were seeking for inner guidance to endorse your own vision. To me, reading after 7 years, I completely forgot about this. And opening the book today at this page is just a kind reminder to myself that I have to, just like you, and like exactly how Ysanne said it earlier, I have to reimagine myself. So for a while, we've been doing offline events. We had this amazing red carpet event, and everybody looking at the picture were asking me, who are the celebrities? Because a celebrity comes from celebration, from celebrating. And what we've been doing in the last decade, since I started this journey into serendipity, where I was blessed and lucky, I think this is the word, even I don't use this word, lucky enough to meet Ysanne, is celebrating you. So I feel that regardless, we had to move into a digital space due to the pandemic. It was Brexit before that. We thought, okay, we have to learn to live with Brexit. Then we decided we are still alive, so we don't have a choice. We have to learn to live with the pandemic. And now we have the war. So 80 days ago, I start thinking, is never an end to what comes your way. And sometimes it's not a personal choice, but you still have a choice to make when facing difficult times. And that choice is coming with two options. You have to decide what's best for you, of course, but you could only wait for a miracle or become one. And I feel that that applies to these times. And I feel that your book was written for today challenges. And it is such a profound solution to, and sophisticated solution to everyday life. And when the war started, we start thinking differently. Even we survived the Brexit, we survived pandemic so far, and then the war started, and we start thinking, okay, the stars are telling us something, and it's very hard to understand their language. But if you if you think about how connected we are all are with the stars, so we find it very easy to call celebrities stars. But if you think what they do, they celebrate. They celebrate and they invite everybody around them to celebrate them. And we decided to change the algorithm. We decided to invite everybody to celebrate. And I know it's hard because you've been socially conditioned not to celebrate yourself, but to celebrate others. So this is what we've been practicing every single day. So we had various times of the day from different time zones in the world when we get together with our editors, our guests, and we decided to inspire the world, to inspire you, because inspiration is in short supply. Out of the 358,000 newspaper going to press tonight for tomorrow, 98% of the headlines are bad news. So this is what you are fed with. This is what it's happening with the way we communicate ourselves and how we communicate to others and how we inspire others. So if you look at the figure, there is no inspiration left. And yet, look at Ysanne. Isn't she a goddess inspiring us how to turn challenges into opportunities? You tell me. You tell me if we are in short supply of good news, because definitely Ysanne entering my life, she was and is, she's always going to be the headline for me, the good news. And she inspired me so profoundly. And since we met, I helped thousands of people to publish their books. And yet, it's not enough. There are only 5,500 new book titles every day, but there are 8 billion people, and every single one of us is holding a story. And the most important story is not the story you read in somebody else's library, is not the story you read in the news, is the story you tell yourself about yourself when nobody is listening. Changing that narrative comes with hurdles. And one of the greatest obstacle is always going to be self-doubt. We are born compassionate, but we are not born with confidence. So this is why in the last 60 days, actually less than 60 days, because last month we had the first 24-hour positive thinking summit, and that inspired us to launch the never ending book. So the never ending book is a book where every reader who reads the book could become a published author without writing a single word. So this is how I reimagine myself, and this is how Ysanne is inspiring me to reimagine myself, because there are solutions for everything, and there is an app for everything, and yet your genius, your solution is still the best kept secret. So we created a movement where every reader could become a published author. So get in touch with me, get in touch with Ysanne, find out more about what the stars are telling you. Ask Ysanne to translate that message for you personally, because it's always very personal. And ask me how to become a published author. And ask Ysanne how publishing a book changed her destiny, how being finally able to put her name on her story change other people's life. Because when you publish your story, when you become a published author, it's not only the visibility you need, it's not only the endorsement you need, it's not only the authority you position yourself with, it's also, and most importantly, other people's future. Because sharing your story changes your story and the future. And we are talking about change. We all want change. And yet, perhaps it's hard to see yourself making the change, because there are so many people making so much noise about the changes they are making. And yet, you feel left behind. How could you ever feel good enough when everything is done and is done so well? Well, in my own experience, it's not about you. When you show up for yourself, but you show up for others. So the fact that I reimagine myself again, and I show up on this cloud, we reside in a cloud lately. We are cloud related, all of us. I realize that we are all cloud related. It's how I reimagine your story. I am a story custodian, and I really want to make sure your story is shared, because your story could change other people's life. It is your story, but belongs to the world. And sharing your story is going to change other people's future. So I would love to recommend strongly go to ysanne.com It's easy to remember. Ysanne.com. Order the book, get in touch with me, and find out how you could become a published author. So since the last summit we had last month, we are going to run our first 24-hour Dream Big Summit this weekend, 20th of May, 21st of May, this Friday throughout Saturday. And we have speakers from all over the world. I'm not going to go into the details, but this is showing how dreaming big is not about you. Dreaming big is about creating a solution you are part of. Dreaming big is about leaving the door behind you wide open, because a lot of people enter a certain opportunity and then they close the door. So the people behind them will never access that door because the door is closed. And now we are removing the doors. We are saying no more doors. Join us at the first 24-hour Dream Big Summit, because it's time for you to put your name on your story. From me and Ysanne, until next Tuesday, 12 p.m. London time, with lots of love. Remember, you are a star. Goodbye.
Goodbye.